Some of the top players in the world, like BrandonTan and Kieng, catch 500 to 1,000 Pokemon every single day. But to the average player, this could seem ridiculously daunting and impossible. How can a player who doesn't live in an urban area where there is a massive spawn points and Pokestops ever dream of keeping up with those who do? Well, as it turns out, it's actually quite simple. What's up you guys, it's me, it's Count, here with an all new Pokemon Go video. Today I'm going to be giving you my method for getting 500 to 1,000 catches per day. Now with this method, I have been able to increase my general rate of collection, and whenever there is a Stardust bonus with an event, this method has certainly helped me amass just a crazy amount of Stardust, and I really think this method could help you. It doesn't matter if you live in an urban area, it doesn't matter if you live in a rural area. If you follow this method, you can get a high volume of catches for yourself as well. So if you end up enjoying this video, if you find it really helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more Pokemon Go videos like this one, and don't forget that little bell. And without further ado, let's get right into it. As I mentioned before, collecting 1,000 Pokemon per day is not an easy feat. Some players dedicate 6 to 8 hours of hardcore grinding per day, and even they don't reach that high of a number. Some of the players that do reach those numbers spend an exorbitant amount of money on lures and incense in order to do so. However, what I discovered is that there is actually an easy method for getting massive amounts of Pokemon, which leads to massive amounts of Stardust every single day. The best part about it is that you don't need to spend money on special items like lures and incense. It really doesn't matter where you live as well. You can be in an urban area, a suburban area, or even a rural area. This method can still work for you. So here's the method. Basically what you will be doing is locating cluster spawns that are within close proximity to each other and creating a route. You can do a walking route depending on where these cluster spawns are located, or you can create a driving route, although I never suggest you ever drive and play. However, most of these locations typically have most of their cluster spawns in the parking lot, so you could essentially drive and park before catching. Hold up, let's back it up a minute. What are cluster spawns? Cluster spawns are specific areas where there is an unusually high number of Pokemon compared to others. These are typically located in areas where there is a high amount of foot traffic and cellular activity on a daily basis. If you can locate these areas around you and do a rotation, you could net yourself an insane amount of Pokemon catches within a small period of time. Here are a few examples of really great cluster spawn areas: Walmart, Target, Costco, Menards, Home Depot, Jewel Osco, Sam's Club, H-Mart, Best Buy, Lifetime Fitness, LA Fitness, Export, YMCA, Dick's Sporting Goods, highway truck stops, movie theaters, shopping malls, train stations, and post offices. Hold on, you might be asking yourself at this point, why would I want to go to Walmart in order to get 1,000 catches per day? Well, it's no secret to any veteran player that the absolute best place to catch Pokemon in mass is actually at places like Walmart as opposed to parks. And the reason for this is because of how the game currently works. As I mentioned before, spawns are connected to foot traffic and cellular activity. And even on a nice sunny day, there will still be more people with cell phones visiting a Walmart than they would a park. Now before you start grinding these areas, you will need to stock up. This method may take you to places where Pokestops are not abundant. Before I do my daily grind, I always dedicate about 30 minutes to just collecting Pokestops and gyms. If you are in a rural area, you may need more time to stock up. But I usually won't start my grind until I have about 400 Pokeballs, 300 Great Balls, and 100 Ultra Balls, or somewhere near these amounts. Once you have these items, now set up a route. What's great about these locations is that they are typically in close proximity to each other. Walmarts are typically right next to Sam's Clubs, Targets and Home Depots are typically next to Costco, and so on and so forth. What you will want to do is find these locations that are close to each other and create a route where you will be going from location to location, catching any and every Pokemon in these locations, and looping back around and starting it over. The ideal situation is that you go to enough locations where all of the Pokemon in the first location have respawned by the time you return to it. Now let's take a look at my own route. I start off here at this Costco, which is right next to a Target and a YMCA. I clean out all 3 of these cluster spawns, which nets me about 30 to 45 Pokemon. I then drive over to this H-Mart, which is about a 5-minute drive away, and then I clean it up. It is also located next to a Home Depot and a post office, so I get another 30 to 45 Pokemon. I then drive to this Menards, which is about 5 minutes away, and then I grab another 10 to 15 Pokemon. Afterwards, I drive back to Costco, which is 5 minutes from there, and start the process all over again. By the time I return to my start point, all of the Pokemon at this location have respawned. Now in between these locations, sometimes I will have my Go Plus catching Pokemon as I move to the next location. This would typically net me around 10 to 15 additional Pokemon. However, I don't always suggest doing this because Go Pluses will typically melt through your Pokeballs like butter on pavement on a hot sunny day. If you do not have too many Pokestops at each location, this is ill-advised. All in all, what this route nets me is about 60 to 100 catches every 30 minutes or so. That means every hour I'm getting roughly 200 catches. If I do this repeatedly over the course of an entire day, this will net me well over 1,000 Pokemon. Of course, this requires a couple of tricks. First, I have to use the quick catch method. Efficiency is absolutely key, so you need to catch all the Pokemon on screen at each cluster spawn location as fast as possible. This is extremely important because you do not want to spend too much time at a single cluster spawn. You want to hit up as many cluster spawns as possible. Second, I have to have a strong knowledge of each location and how to get there as quickly as possible. Familiarity with these areas as well as the volume of spawns in these areas are extremely important. Speaking of which, let's talk about how to determine the volume of spawns within a cluster spawn. I found that a cluster spawn location will have an insane amount of Pokemon if they meet the following conditions. First, the location has to have existed for at least 10 years. If a Walmart was just constructed a year ago, chances are Niantic hasn't picked up on the cellular activity of that area yet, so it may not have a cluster spawn there. Next, there has to be a high amount of foot traffic. If you're going to a Home Depot that doesn't have a high number of customers, chances are there isn't going to be much cellular activity. Also, I found that peak hours between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. have a higher density of spawns compared to other hours. Don't ask why, it just seems that way. Also on that note, if you're driving to these areas, morning hours are typically the best as there is not going to be competition for parking and there isn't going to be a whole lot of traffic to slow you down as you move from one spot to the other. These are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. Remember, don't ever play Pokemon Go while driving. Keep your eyes on the road, be safe, and don't break the law. Do not trespass on private property even though there is an insane cluster spawn in that area. Don't be that guy who gets into a car accident because you were focusing on catching rather than driving. So in conclusion, the secret to getting an insane amount of Pokemon catches per day is actually cluster spawns. Yes, I get it. Even with this method, getting 8,000 Pokemon per day is still a really tedious and time-consuming process. You will still need to farm for hours upon hours if you want to hit the catch cap of 7,000 weekly. However, with this method, you can still vastly increase your daily catch count. I really hope the information that I shared in this video has given you some direction on how to get really high catch numbers. This really is the easy method for increasing your general amounts of Stardust and catches daily. So that's going to be it for this video, and I would love to know your thoughts regarding this method. Would this method help you out? Do you have a lot of cluster spawns in your area? Were you aware of this method? Did you know about cluster spawns before this video? Or were you fully aware of this method already and this video really was just more of a recap for you? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you are someone who is looking to increase their collection medal or you're trying to increase your Stardust, I would love to know if this method has actually actually helped you out. I would love to know in the comment section below, and if you ended up enjoying this video, smash that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell. And yeah, I am Count Chinsula, and I will catch you all later.